And now.
Oh, we are?
Yeah.
Okay.
My big question for you is in District 14,
Yep.
in District 14, they allow the 230 bikes to ride the Mad Dog class. But the rule is. Okay, my question to the Vice President here is in Mad Dog class in District 14 AMA racing, is that the 230 Yamaha, Honda, and Kawasaki bikes are allowed to ride as long as they're stopped. And we have bikes that are not stopped.
We're good.
They have a pipe, some allegedly have a cam, whatever. So we want a definition. Can they ride that bike with that? Because I'm under the impression that if you go to the AMA Amateur Nationals and you have a pipe on your bike, you don't ride the stock class, period. No discussion. So now we're at a district local race. If you got a pipe on, it should be the same exact rules, right?
That stock is stock. Limited is limited. So the limited rules, and I'm going by motocross rules right now because that's what I normally deal with. So limited rules say that the exhaust cannot be modified anymore.
Right. And you can look at a bike and blatantly see that that's not stock. That's a down pipe, it's a jump pipe.
Yeah, so that would be taken to the track referee.
Right. And the track referee is the boy's grandfather. I'm also to understand that if you have a relative in the class, you cannot be a referee.
Yeah, so if you're a relative in the class, as a referee, you have to appoint a secondary referee for that race.
Gotcha. That answered all my questions. Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming out.
No problem.
You guys come on up here so you're in it. So we can talk.
Turn it back off. Save it for-
Anything to say? No? We're live. We're just kind of screaming at nothing, so. All right. I guess so.
Yeah, if you have questions, Aaron's got the microphone. And like I said, more if we're yeah. And just so you know, if we're doing more like flat track rule specific stuff, Gigi, Megan, Renee need to be down here. I am answering I will answer as many flat track questions as I can, but I'm more District 14 overall.
Okay, so who do I go to about, we need red flags at every corner out there. We can't have just one red flag when there's an accident.
Yeah, so I agree. I have red flags, so I'm the safety coordinator at Battle Creek Motorcycle Club. We have red flags at every flag stand. So yeah, I mean so the AMA doesn't set, unfortunately, not District 14, but the AMA. The AMA doesn't set standards for where red flags have to be. So it's kind of a per track practice. But I am a big fan of red flags and medic flags everywhere there's a flag stand. So that's something we definitely need to sit down with the tracks and clubs and say, hey, we need more red flags.
Yeah.
Because if you red flag a race for something that happens in turn 4 and they don't see the red flag until after that, you're not safe. So yeah, that's something we'll definitely, especially with the pre-sanction meeting coming up, we need to sit down and talk about that. So there will be, I'm having a basically like a job form built for District 14 flat track. It'll go out on Facebook, and everybody will be able to submit rule changes, safety stuff, all of that. So it'll be compiled, and we'll be able to actually bring it up at the pre-sanction meeting and say, this is what your riders are saying. We do it every year for motocross, and it's helped a lot. And so Gigi and Renee and Megan have asked me to do it for flat track also. It's an easy way to get everybody's stuff in there, and then you can't ignore it.
So that would be something we should do when it comes to the.
As soon as it comes out, it should be probably, since this is the last race, it'll probably come out mid-October because you have a couple weeks between that and the pre-sanction meeting. And that will be shared all over Facebook. The District 14 flat track, the District 14 regular Facebook, and go on there, fill it out, put anything you want to put on there, and then we'll be able to go through it.
Okay. And I know this probably would be with the other meeting,
Mm-hmm.
but I do believe the little kids need to race first and get out and get over with before they mix it up. Because a lot of times it's late at night.
Yeah.
I don't believe these Yeah, we need to somehow split it to where, I mean, here, they did really good there, they, practice and heat with the little ones, but then they did the main race with the bigger ones, and then being that the races here are dark time now,
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah, so you're basically saying just the smaller bikes, the 50s, they should kind of run them through.
65, run her through and let
Yeah.
her get over it, get these little ones.
Yeah, I understand that. And that's another thing.
Right.
Put it on there for sure.
And that's what I'm gonna do.
Because me and the District 14 President, Brian Kidner, like we went to the pre-sanction meeting last year with Flat Track. And I know there hasn't been a lot of that in recent years, but we went and we want to talk about all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to know what you guys think.
Okay. All right, and that's me, and I know somebody wants to talk about the hot box.
I got a question.
Come on.
Grab the
Grab the microphone.
Can you speak into the microphone? Because we're putting it out there for other people to hear.
Okay, my question is, you got 285cc classes, okay?
Mhm.
You got the 65 to 85cc, and then you got the 85, I think it's,
Like a mini open class.
yeah.
Yep.
Everybody here, but one person has one bike.
Mhm.
We sign up for that class. We pay to ride that class, but we can't practice in it because we only have one motorcycle. The other guy gets to practice twice because he has two motorcycles. So all I'm saying is we pay for it.
Yeah.
We should be able to run that practice.
Yeah, so we run into that on the motocross side too, but the difference is so with motocross, we do what we call a clean bike practice. So if you signed up in a second class, you get an extra couple laps. And usually it's a shorter practice. Most tracks will do like their normal practice sessions all the way through. And then at the very end of practice, they'll say, all right, we got a 2-lap or a 3-lap clean bike class, which is basically if you signed up for a second class or you have a second bike for another class, you get to go back out again. And so that's another promoter change, track change that needs to be submitted so they can, I think if enough people want it, then yeah.
It just seems to me like,
If you're racing 2 classes, you should be able to hit the track twice for practice.
right,
I
you're
agree.
paying for it, right?
I agree, totally.
Either that or, when we go to Owasso, he doesn't have a problem with that at all. He wants you to run.
Yeah.
Practice in the 85. You paid to run the 85 minis. You should be able to practice in the 85 minis.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Not everybody can have 285cc bikes.
Yeah.
So
and I think what you run into there is what we run into everywhere is that, so District 14 is like an overseer, but everybody that runs races is an independent business. It's like, I can't tell Lucky Thumb what to pay out because they're an independent business. So like the way they run we don't have a standardized practice program. And maybe that's something we need to move towards for sure. But that's why, you probably know from going to different tracks. There's different practice orders everywhere because, certain places run certain ways. But I think a standard is something we definitely should look at. And that's why I said, you definitely submit that so we could work through it.
And then the Friday night thing, I don't like that either. The Friday night thing.
Yeah.
There's nowhere else in Michigan, nowhere else that I know of. Cars, motorcycles, anybody races on Friday night. People work. They got either take Friday off or even get out of work early so they can be here by a certain time. It's hard. It's really hard. If you talk to these people around there, it's really hard.
Yeah, I understand.
Friday night racing. It should be Saturday and Sunday. That's my opinion.
Is that an AMA thing or is that a?
That's a track thing. Yeah.
So there is no other track around the Friday night.
Okay.
No other track. So I don't know how AMA sets their rules. I don't know if that, but them two things.
Yeah. So the AMA doesn't set rules on when races are run.
Right.
It's up to the track.
Yeah. Well, it's tough. Friday night.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's a 2.5 hour drive for me to get here. I understand. Thank you.
No one knows where it's supposed to be. Nobody's got designated.
Forced to go there.
Yeah, well, it's supposed to be questions for AMA, District 14, not track.
Yeah, when it comes to and I'm sorry to say it, but like when it comes to tracks, and like specific questions about like where their hot box is or something like that, like I don't control that.
Right.
I don't. I can tell you, talk to the track referee, talk to the officials, and if they don't do anything to help you with that, then come to me and we can try to figure something out. But when it comes to the way a track runs its program, there isn't anything specified. I mean, you guys, like I said, if you go to different tracks, everybody runs things differently. Just depends on where you're at. So specific track questions and things you want them to change,
I don't think they know it falls under track or AMA.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think they know the difference.
Can I wear my mohawk on my helmet?
So the AMA says nothing external attached to the helmet. Anything. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, trust me. When they came out with that, I was like, we've been wearing GoPros on helmets since they came out. And the whole,
I have that same issue, so I feel
yeah,
that.
the whole, it compromises the integrity. Those GoPros fall off if you're just riding. If you hit the ground, it's coming off. It's not gonna make you break your neck.
So what about a gorilla mask on my helmet?
Yeah, that's external. It's an additive. Yeah, you can't. Yeah.
Even though it's not, it's a helmet.
I know.
Yeah,
Well, then, yeah.
I mean, yeah, if it's built that way.
Let's see it. You got it here?
Yeah.
I can get it.
Yes,
If
sir.
it's built that way.
We got it.
Yeah, if it's DOT or smell approved. All right, what do you got? Sorry.
My question is,
Hold that up. Hold that. Yeah.
so what I'm looking at is in the Wildcat class. I know it's supposed to be an entry level class.
Yeah.
Get people back into the sport, whatever.
Is this a question about the stock bike? I think you might have missed that.
No, not so much the
okay.
stock bike, but what I'm looking at is getting the rule changed to go up to 230s
Mhm.
because now you got Kawasaki, Honda, and Yamaha all built at 230s.
I thought 230s were allowed in that class.
They are.
They are.
That's what, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They are, they're stock. That means
Okay.
no pipe, no
Yeah,
cam,
yeah.
no car.
Okay,
no
so,
nothing.
sorry.
And I'm just saying, like, maybe, because the class now is like 86 to 200, I think. That's how they got it classified, but they allow the other bikes in.
Why don't we start a
Why not?
230 class then? Run whatever you want.
I
You
don't,
want a
I
pipe,
don't
you
think
want
we
a
need to,
can, you
I
want.
don't think we need to start a whole separate
Yeah, I don't,
class.
I'm gonna say this just from a,
Riders at a cheaper
yeah,
bike
just from a district standpoint, with all the divisions that I deal with, more classes is not the answer.
No.
We've got enough everywhere. Everybody wants a trophy.
Open up an avenue of bikes that helps the manufacturer sells them.
Yeah, yeah.
Let alone makes it cheaper for the riders to buy it.
So if they're allowing the 230 in there right now,
If it's stock.
if it's stock, yeah. So what I'm saying, so what were you proposing to change?
To change it up to the 230 and we can.
But I thought they're already allowing
We
the
can put
230.
cards and plates on them just like everybody.
Oh, you
else.
want to make it an open class, not a limited class.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Everywhere else in the United States is an open.
yeah,
class.
that's another one of those things. Like you just submit it, and at the pre-sanction meeting, if the tracks agree to it, that's what you guys. I don't think a lot of people understand about District 14 and the tracks. Everybody thinks it's D14 says this, and D14 says that. Tracks make your classes and your rules. They vote on it. We don't. I just enforce it. As long as the tracks vote on it and they submit it to the AMA, and the AMA says, "Yeah, that's good." That's the rule. I have no say in what the rules are. None. I just enforce them.
And enforce the stock. That's what it says. Just enforce it.
Okay.
Anybody else got questions?
Has anybody in that stock class, has anybody paid the protest fee and actually protested a bike?
You shouldn't have to pay a fee to protest something.
That is an AMA rule in the AMA competition rule book in every division, every class, anywhere. There is a protest fee for anything mechanical.
Okay, then this is a state championship race. Where's the tech inspection? They shouldn't be able to pass tech inspection.
Hey,
by
Butch, I know I just met you, but like I said before, I'm here to talk about District 14 stuff. I don't know all the flat track rules, and I'll be the first one to tell you that.
Yeah, I don't know them all either, but we made it a point.
We don't have a tech inspection at any state championship motocross race, any state championship hare scramble race. I mean, is
Rules in the book to say stop.
I understand that, but there's also not a rule in the book that states there has to be tech inspection. You have to protest. You have to. You have to protest. And if you pay the fee to protest and it's deemed illegal, you get your money back. That's just the way. I can't change the AMA rule book, and that's what I want people to understand too. Like the AMA is for profit. You know, they make you pay for your membership and all that. District 14 we're just a district of AMA. It's we are totally nonprofit.
You seem to be the highest ranking district officer.
Second highest.
That's here.
Yeah.
So you get to hear it.
But also, just so you know, like I am not paid anything. There is no salary. There's no nothing. I was voted in, but this is a completely volunteer position.
Just all the glory.
Most of them.
All the glory, let me tell you. A lot of glory.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. And like I said, but I want to hear this stuff for sure. Like I want to hear this stuff. That's why I started doing these, is because I feel like a lot of the divisions in general have not seen the district board, don't really know what the district does, and feels like there's no voice. And I want people to have a voice, but understand that when I'm giving you an answer, I'm just giving you the answer by what the rule book says. It's not me. Like I said, I don't make the rules, I just enforce them. So when it comes to a mechanical protest, there's a protest form. If it's anything with scoring, rider eligibility, or anything like that, there's no fee. When it comes to mechanical, there's a fee. That's all I can tell you.
That's why I said start a 230 class, because now you're talking about a bike with a larger frame,
Yeah.
larger wheels, that has a distinct physical advantage over the mini.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I say that needs to be submitted to your tracks to create that class for next year. We can't create it in the middle of the year. So, yeah, submit it and tell the tracks that's what you want. If enough people are telling the tracks this is what we want, I'm sure they'll change it. I mean, enough people complained about the rules for the state championship that those got changed, right? So I'm pretty sure that if enough people want the class, it'll happen.
You need a powder puff class too.
So when we were here last time, and I came to the last race here, and I talked about that. Like, there's some girls that, I mean, obviously some of them have no issue hanging with the guys. They're absolutely fast. But I think a women's class is great. Every other division of racing there is in the state of Michigan has a women's class. Even that, there should be a women's class. And granted, there's going to be 3 or 4, maybe 2 or 3 that are going to be, way ahead. But the other 5 or 6 are going to be battling, and the races are going to be good. And yeah, I just think a women's class is, that's one of the ones where I say, don't add classes, add that one. That's fine. Maybe do away with a different one.
All right, I'll give you one first. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, no
While
problem.
I'm here, it's nice to see somebody from D14 out here. Lucky Country Great Club.
Yeah.
Been around for years.
I wish it was closer.
Thanks for writing the article as well. That went a long ways. We really appreciate that. So my question is, and hopefully this is more district related.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep motorcycle racetracks around, right?
Yes, it is.
We're losing clubs in flat track. It's been a problem for everybody everywhere. The cities grow, they push people off, right? So what's the district doing? What can you speak to? How is the district helping to combat that? What are we going after? Where should we add tracks? How are we helping that? How are we getting more tracks?
Yeah. So from a district standpoint, at least when it comes to the flat track division, and Renee can attest to this too, we are starting a very open line of communication and going after fairgrounds. Because, any of you guys that race, I actually grew up in flat track before I went to motocross. So any of you guys that raced a long time knows there was a lot of half miles at flat tracks, at fairgrounds. And that kind of went away. So we've been in contact with a couple places now that are like, hey, we want to put bikes back on the track. And so I think that the numbers that you guys are bringing in to the division and showing people that riders are showing up and riders want this and riders want that, I think that's going to help us with marketing the races to other places. Because there's half-mile dirt tracks sitting all over the place that only get horses on them. Why is that? Because for the last however many years, it hasn't been pushed. That's been the big issue with District 14 in general, is there's been no marketing. It's just been sit back, this is what we've done for 40 years, this is how it is. Well, it's 2024, it's time to change things. You gotta go out and push, and talk to people. Most of these fairgrounds and places like that don't even know those fair boards from 30 years ago are gone. They don't even know that there's 200 people that want to go race. And so it's a revenue stream for them and all that. So we are, and like I said, Renee can attest to this too. We are, at least Brian and I, are working very hard on making the flat track division bigger. We're starting to look at stuff on the west side of the state because, and I'm not knocking the east side of the state, but there's people on the west side of the state that used to race flat track. They just don't want to drive 4 hours every day. And I know it makes it tough for some east siders to have to drive over, but you've had it good for a little bit.
Our Cadillac people are here. Here are two of our gentlemen right here who have come down to see how we do things. And we're hoping that by next year, we can have them on our schedule for our half miles. So they're here.
Westford County Fairgrounds and Cadillac, they actually reached out to District 14 and said, we want to put bikes on our track. So, yeah. And they're interested in doing more than one a year. So let's make sure you put on a good show for them tonight.
I was just going to ask, what are we doing to market to get ticket sales? Because that's essentially what they care about, right?
Yeah, so that's the other thing. Like I said, the marketing's been crap. I mean, for lack of a better term, I won't swear because I'm on live, but so we need to use things like pictures, articles, Don's drone videos, like stuff like that needs to be put out there. And I don't know if a lot of people don't know, but District 14 has a TikTok, a YouTube, and I post as much stuff on there as I get, but I'm also not at every event. And once again, not a paid position. So like I can't travel nonstop and post things. But if people send me stuff, I will absolutely post it. I share all Aaron's photo stuff, I share Don's stuff. Like we need to market as much as possible. So videos, pictures, articles, anything we can to push it out there.
Do we have a budget for like commercials? Or would that be?
No one's ever done it.
I know a guy.
Yeah, no one's ever done it.
That takes me back to so I was going to ask about the magazine we used to put out.
The paper
people
one.
voted that they wanted it online, but nobody looks at that.
Well, nobody looks at either one, if we're being honest.
No, we did though.
Well,
The
some people
kids
did.
do,
Yeah,
but the
that's what I mean.
kids
So
loved it.
we're getting about the same traction with the online magazine that we got with the paper one, where 500 to 600 out of the 4,800 members. I mean, we put a poll out in that paper before they voted to get rid of it, and we got like 30 responses out of 4,800 members. So at that point, and so we actually put the poll in the newspaper so that people had to read it to be a part of the poll. So when we only got a few responses, it kind of was like, okay, people really aren't reading it.
Well, could it
But
be
the
an
online
option?
magazine also, so with the online magazine is that's still content driven and people have to submit content. We don't have staff writers. Nobody's submitting it. You know, like I sat down and wrote an article for Lucky Thumb because I'm like, flat track needs to be seen, and people aren't.
I can say I got confused with the Dropbox.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah, I tried to submit stuff and it wasn't working.
The best thing you can do is email the person that was putting it together directly, because the Dropbox is a shit show. Sorry.
But I was gonna say, is there maybe an option to buy do a membership where they send it to you? If you pay for it?
We've looked into that too, where you can pay a little bit more of a fee for the membership if you want a printed magazine. The issue is trying to find a printer that will like print on demand. So they'll only do 500, or they'll only do a lot of print places, because number one, we know that print is kind of going away, but a lot of print places won't do your job unless it's a certain amount every month. And if they will do a smaller job, they charge out the ass for it. We're trying to move towards more into, like I said, more digital media. We're going to be starting a podcast for District 14 where we will do live shows at tracks, but we'll do like a weekly. This is what happened last weekend. This is what's coming up. This is what we have to look for. And also bringing in people that are quote unquote legendary and just Michigan motorcycling in general to tell their story.
I want to thank you for coming too, but and I don't want this swept under the rug. I know it was just talked about, but
Mhm.
and I got a guy right here that'll help me with anything we need or anything you need. We need to get a powder puff for the girls.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, so tell us what we need to do because I don't want to hear something next year saying, "Oh, we need to do this." But
You
how
put
can we start this, or what can we do to advocate?
Yeah, so we're like I don't know if you were here when I said it, but so I'm building a form that's going to go out on the internet for everybody in your division to submit rule change ideas, class change ideas, and I guarantee these ladies, if they get a shitload of people saying we want a women's class, I said it last time I was here. I was like, we need a women's class. Every other division has one.
Yeah, we can't keep up
yeah.
with Evan Myers.
Yeah. No, they're all about it. So I'm not going to guarantee, but I'm saying like there's a real good chance there's going to be a women's class next year.
Hear that? So everybody online and here,
Yep.
fill that paperwork out. Let's get these young ladies racing by themselves.
Yeah.
They get, get their own
Send it. You can just send an email. Send an email to Gigi. There are emails and phone numbers. Send emails. Do whatever. Text me. Yeah. Well, I mean, text me. My kids text me all the time. I don't like talking on the phone. Although I will talk on the phone with these ladies for like 3 hours.
3 hours. Plenty of conference calls, you guys.
Next.
Hi there.
I feel weird sitting down.
I have an electric bike, Zero FX. It's a full-size dirt bike. Any chance I could ride that in an open class? Or
Yeah. So
and I'm not talking about the bike bikes. I mean, it's a full-size electric bike.
So the issue we're having that everywhere right now. So like off-road, not as much because the batteries aren't going to last 2 hours. They could race like a sprint enduro because it's only 15 to 20 minutes, but like motocross, they'd be fine. The problem is the AMA itself they still don't know enough about it. They don't know the safety aspect of it. Because like you think about like on the motocross end, you don't know that rider's even behind you or next to you. So they're still working through that. And trust me, I'm like, hey, tell them they got to put it like the Stark. The Stark can go up to 80 horsepower, but it has 5 horsepower increments. Tell them to set it at 55 and don't touch it. I mean, if the bike's a bike, if you're a good enough rider, you know somebody's next to you. So until that's the problem with us being AMA is until the AMA says you're good to go, they've okayed it for the 50s, but they haven't on bigger bikes yet.
And I guess the question is, we're not going to have a special electric bike class. That's kind of
No, I mean, to me, it'd be an open class.
You can't. Well, but also being an electric bike with a gas bike, that doesn't really work either. They're so different.
Depending.
But do you see it changing? Maybe. I mean,
I think it's going to come because more people are getting into it. And I rode a Stark, and holy shit!
Shoot.
Like
my Zero FX, it scares me. It does 80 miles. A bike that size shouldn't do 80 miles an hour.
No, 80 horsepower on any dirt bike is a lot. But
really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I wore a black shirt today because they say the camera adds 10 pounds. What's an orange one do? Black is slimming.
The AMA does have rules for electric classes, right?
No. For what? The AMA allows no electric bikes past 50 cc.
Really?
We did a flat out Friday and an AMA sanctioned race.
But
That was AMA
it was AMA insured and sanctioned, but it's an exhibition class. So the AMA right now does not allow any bikes over the like Mini E, the E5, stuff like that. They're scored separately. Except for like in moto, so like in motocross in District 14, we have like the 50 junior, 50 senior, which are limited classes, but then we have like a 50 open, which is whatever, and they're allowed to ride electric bikes and they get scored the same. There's no e-bike class. So, but other than that, the AMA right now has no rules governing the electric bike, and their directive is don't allow the big electric bikes right now until they figure it out. If it was an outlaw series, I'd say line them up.
They could do it as an exhibition class, though.
Yeah, you could offer any track anywhere could offer an exhibition electric class. You just aren't. It wouldn't be anything points wise, and I don't know for sure how the insurance would work with that.
Guys, I'm the flat track rider rep.
Mhm.
What can I do to try to get more involved?
I think you're pretty involved, yeah.
I'd like to do more.
Just being honest, like you're doing a lot. I see your face and your posts everywhere.
That's good.
Yeah, I think you're involved.
I got the Strider bike going good.
Yeah, no, I think the Strider race is a good thing. Yeah, I don't think there's anything more you can do at this point.
I'm hoping to get the Strider races bigger next year.
I think the more it's just like anything, it's something new, so it takes time.
Yep.
You know.
Anybody else got anything? Carson, you got something to say.
I had this same thing at the motocross one I did last week, and it's like, or 2 weeks ago. Everybody has so much to say behind a keyboard. I'm here. Say it. No.
I was looking, nothing yet.
So the other hard part about like today is if you're not here, you're probably racing somewhere else.
Right.
And it's the middle of the day.
But they'll be able to see it.
Yeah, they'll be able to see it. And if anybody comments later on, I'll just answer it. It's not a big deal.
Okay.
I just want to say, like I told these guys last time, like I hadn't been to a flat track race in probably 20 years. And I came out here for the last race, and I'm like, man, I should have came back a lot sooner. Like it's fun to watch, and I'll be honest, the 50 classes are my favorite classes to watch. I mean, they just are. It's your daughter. I love watching her ride.
They have so much heart.
They do. And the 50 kids, I mean, they're just out there to race. The 50 kids don't usually have problems with each other. It's the 50 parents that have problems with each other. No, I'm just saying, no. And don't think it's just here. It's everywhere. I love motorcycling. I love that parents bring their kids out. But all I have to say is not everybody's going to be the next Jeremy Mees or Ricky Carmichael or whoever. Let your kids have fun.
Yeah, everybody forgets to have fun.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Here's this. Here's my helmet. I can lose you.
Oh my God. I mean,
how's visibility?
Wow. Yeah,
It's a full face helmet.
Where's you got the DOT sticker or the Snell sticker on it?
It's under the fur.
Velcro. It's a Polaris helmet.
Okay.
Actually, it is.
Yeah.
I can lose the earring.
How's your visibility?
Yeah, I don't know about the visibility on that, but
He did wear it at Flat Out Friday.
I wore it at Flat Out Friday in the goofball class.
Here's what I can say about stuff like that, and I can tell you the same thing about GoPros. Okay, and some people at the AMA might not like this. Wearing a GoPro is not something that gets you disqualified. Wearing a GoPro is not a disqualifiable offense. All it is, hey, don't do that again. On your helmet, yeah. If I see someone, because I referee at motocross races, and if I see someone with a GoPro, I'm like, oh, you gotta take that off. But I've had people come up and go, I want to protest them for the GoPro. I'm like, it's not a thing. It's like, if you accidentally send your kid out without a chest protector, it's like, hey, make sure they put that on. Anything else? Oh, the party's here now. What's that? Yeah, we told him. What's up, Sean? All right. Oh, we got one more. Yeah, hey, whatever.
What are the responsibilities of a rider rep?
So the rider rep is basically like being the. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. The rider rep is basically like being the go-between between the riders and the district the division board, the tracks, things like that. So some riders might not feel comfortable, say like walking up to me. I don't know why, but some people might be like, I don't want to talk to that guy. Like, he's whatever. So, but if it's a rider rep and it's somebody who's at the races all the time, they might feel better going up and telling them. And it's basically like because a rider rep is usually a rider. So they usually have the same feelings as the rider. So it's an extra voice for the riders. Kind of like a concierge.
And then what we do within
Microphone.
So what we do within so Jeff is voted in by the district itself.
Yeah.
And then what we do is we have Tom Sparks and Derek Koss.
Hold it closer.
Derek Koss that
There
is
you go.
here to represent. And if you have any questions, if Jeff wasn't available, you can also go to Tom Sparks and to Derek Koss. And then what we're going to do this year when we do have the banquet and we're getting everything in place for that, it will not be immediately after championships this year. We're going to take a little bit of time to get everything together. But when we do have our banquet, we will make sure that you're introduced to chair people so that you know who your chair people are, who your rider reps are, besides that, Jeff voted in again for next year, plus who we've elected within our chair positions. And how to contact them. Again, your best form of contact always is D14flattrack@gmail.com, because then it comes to multiple people that any given person could respond to that email at any given time. Because again, everybody does have full-time jobs. So when something doesn't happen immediately or is in the works or something, it's just because people are also trying to do their full-time life too.
And also, for those of you that have been on the D14 website, we know it sucks. We're actually in the process right now of building a brand new website. So the website will be all brand new. You'll be able to renew your membership online. You'll be able to set up for auto renewal. There's going to be a lot more, way better features than the one we have now.
So the question is, what is the penalty for an overly rough rider who doesn't necessarily cause a crash but could potentially?
So usually when it comes to that, it's like a referee discretion thing. But from a district standpoint, and me being a referee, usually for me, I won't talk to them. It's a one strike thing. If I see it, like I'm going to talk to you and give you a warning and say, hey, cut it out. There's no need. And then the next time you'll get disqualified for that day. And if I see it again, then you're going to go on probation, and then you can up to losing your AMA for a year. And there's no point in trying to hurt each other.
So as a parent, we'll take that to the referee,
Yes.
but not necessarily a protest?
Yeah, because that's not a mechanical thing. It's just a safety concern.
And we were talking about the same with unsportsmanlike conduct too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just whether it be on social media, whether it be.
Well, I mean, social media, you can't really do anything. It's social media. People can say whatever they want. I mean, it's true. I'm not saying like if they're at the track and they're causing a scene, absolutely. But somebody saying something on social media, unless it's like a direct threat,
Yeah, that's more.
not much you can do.
Right. Sorry, yeah, that's where I'm going.
Yeah. If somebody said like, hey, when we get to Owasso, I'm going to kick your ass, we might meet you at the gate and be like, hey, you got to go. But other than that, like if somebody's just on there complaining, I mean, that's what keyboards do.
So what I find that when people are on social media, and so what I'm trying to do is bring more riders, more spectators.
Mhm.
But then when I have parents that reach out to me and say, hey, we were on your Facebook page and we saw these comments and we saw these things, we're really not sure if that's the place we want to bring our kid.
Mhm.
How do I address that to my riders, our riders?
Tell them not to pay attention to social media.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry.
No, yeah.
You know me, and what I'm going to say is get tougher. Like if reading a comment on Facebook makes you not want to go to the racetrack, you're not really a racer. Just being honest.
No,
like
that's
I don't.
okay. That's what I need to.
If somebody,
talk it out. We just gotta
yeah,
figure
if
out
somebody
what's-
commented on a motocross race that I was getting ready to go to and was like, "Oh man, I got a problem with this parent," I don't care. As a racer, I don't
Right,
care.
But it's not specific as to the rider. It could be District 14 this, District 14 that.
Yeah, well, and that's why I'm doing this, and I'm still waiting for it. District 14. That's why I made the comment earlier. Like that's why we did the motocross one. I see things online all the time because I don't know if most of you know. I run the District 14 Facebook page. I run the District 14 TikTok. So any crazy comments, I see them. They come to me, and that's what I'm saying. So like all the keyboard stuff, I'm doing this so you can face to face get an answer. I'm not a keyboard guy. I've made the statement several times. People have seen the memes on Facebook. Keyboards and social media have made people comfortable with saying whatever they want and not getting punched in the face. I'm not going to punch in the face, but like people will say a lot online and I deal with it all the time. But face to face, they'll just walk right by you. Like they don't even know who you are. So that's why I say, like, I treat social media with a grain of salt. I'm not going to lie and say that people don't comment on there and it makes me want to reach through the screen, but it's not going to stop. If somebody doesn't want to come to a race or a track because of comments on social media, they're probably not the customer base you're looking for because they're going to complain about everything they see as soon as they drive through the gate. They're going to protest every bike. And I'm going to end up in a trailer tearing bikes down all day long. That's just my thought. And other people in the district might not agree with that. And the AMA might not agree with that. But that's just my thing. I mean, you see it on the pro level all the time. People get on there. The pros will comment back to somebody. You know, I mean, even pros talk crap to each other. And every seat in the stands is still filled. I just don't let social media bother me.
Well, I mean, it's one thing if they're doing it between their own pages, but it's once they get on G14's page and they start saying.
Yeah, but I mean, that's going to happen no matter what. You're never going to be able to curb that. I mean, it's just like any business. If Karen from down the road goes to McDonald's and her coffee's too hot, she's probably going to post a complaint about it. McDonald's doesn't care. People can complain. I mean, it's freedom. Say what you want.
A lot of calls. Just so you guys know, it has caused us a lot of phone calls because people, did you see this? Did you see that? We look at it and we do discuss it. Just so you guys know, we are clearly aware of the social media stuff, which, for the last few years didn't have it. If you had a problem, you talk to the person. But it has created a lot of headaches for GJ, myself, and Megan. A lot of headaches.
But I don't think you're ever going to get away from it. Now with social media, you're never going to get away from it.
And just so you guys know, 42 years of being here, I'm very passionate about this sport. Just so you guys know.
Wait, he had one. Oh, hold on. Aaron's going to grab you the microphone.
About the advertising and getting the word out about the races and stuff. I myself am not a social media man.
Yeah. I
don't do Facebook and.
Good for you, seriously.
If I need something done, I go see one of my grandkids and they do it for me, right? Radio is huge.
Yeah, it is.
And I have never ever heard an ad on the radio for flat track racing during racing season. Okay.
Yeah.
Our season's only so long, anyways. So if we can get these guys over on the west side of the state with the half miles, the other tracks, and these tracks around here, I think that personally, myself, everybody listens to a radio in their car.
Yep.
It's huge. Radio advertisement's huge, and it's fairly cheap, as far as I know.
Well, so that's another reason. Yeah, that's another reason why we've talked about why we're going to start the podcast thing, because I know, at least for me and a lot of people, as racers in Michigan, what do we do every weekend? We drive, and while we're driving, a lot of people listen to podcasts. So if there's a weekly thing coming out from District 14 every week saying this is what's coming up, this is what happened, this is what's going on, that's another way, like radio, for people to hear it. But yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't think it's, and that'd be division divisions separately. Every division, whether it's flat track, hair scramble, motocross, they could contact a radio station, or crazy idea, tracks themselves could do that.
Right.
Like, we have an event coming up in 3 weeks. Let's see what a radio spot is for 30 seconds to run twice a day.
I think it'd be huge.
I think
I don't even know what a podcast is.
basically just people talk. They get on there and talk, and there's flat track podcasts. What is it? What's the one? Off the Groove? Dubler? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they'll tell you.
You know,
Hand them the phone, they'll pull it up.
I'm just.
My email or phone. It's on the District 14 website. Oh, the Vice President at ama-d14.org, or my phone number is 269-243-0183.
I got that locked in right here.
I'll write it down. Hey, I'll write it down and give it
I
to
ain't
you.
no good on the internet,
Yeah.
but I'm real good with
Hey, I'll write it down and give it to you. And these ladies can attest to, I always answer the phone. I don't.
Hey, these ladies are super. I'm gonna tell you, these ladies are super. I love all of them.
Well, I'll be honest. They need to hear that more.
These girls work hard. This girl right here, she just,
Yeah. What a lot of people don't realize, like I said at the start, is none of us are paid.
right.
And
Right.
so there's a lot of, well, you shouldn't do this, or you shouldn't do that, or you should do this. And do you think there's 100 hours in a day?
Anytime that I've had a real serious kind of thing going on, I go see that lady right there. And it's only happened maybe once or twice.
Well, like I said, I think they need to hear that
But
more.
it got solved. You know,
Yeah.
it got taken care of. And I think that's huge. But I also think that you know, people should think, tracks should think about it, the AMA should think about it. The radio is freaking huge.
Yeah.
Because I know that I'm not the only one that don't do the
No,
internet.
there's-
a lot of people that don't do it. And they're basically rednecks like me. So
I hear you.
they want to go racing.
Yep.
They just don't know about it. So
I agree. Anybody else?
Not a racer, just a spectator. Been coming here since the 70s.
Make sure you keep it up close.
Since the 70s, I've been coming here. Graduated with Ronnie Stolzman. Used to ride dirt bikes out in the woods with Sean. Sean was just a snot-nosed little kid. Now he's a snot-nosed big kid. Too bad he's not out here. Anyways, kudos to Lucky Thumb. They run a tight program. There's glitches now and then, but nothing they don't get through.
Yeah, as with anything.
I think one of the biggest problems sometimes having a first-class ambulance crew. I've seen a couple of balls dropped with them over the years.
That's an issue at almost every track.
Nothing. I mean, here a couple of years ago, they had to wait for the daughters to get out of the back playing cards so they could move the ambulance out on the track. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So, anyways, a couple other things, just historic. You talk about exhibitions. Back in the 80s, there used to be a lot of bike poles in the Thumb. And there was a road rep out of District 14, Bob Kaplan. He was so amazed with bike poles that we would take our bikes out, our Harleys, that, you know, all the chrome and all that crap,
Yeah.
and hook them to a sled and pull. So he arranged to have a bike pole at the Carroll Fair. So on Friday night, we packed the grandstands and had a bike pole. I haven't seen it, but I guess my name's in the archives down in the AMA
Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it can be done. When
Yeah.
we talk about
Yeah, if you advertise enough, it's one of the, like I say, if you build it, people, if you
get it
build
out
it,
in
they'll
front
come.
of, get it out in front of people and then grow from there.
Yeah.
And on radio, there's a local station out of Sandusky. They do community scene all the time.
Yeah.
They
Just
can get
submit
on
it.
there. I do it. I'm our county parks chairman, and I get on there a couple times a year. It doesn't cost you a penny.
Yeah.
I usually end up going for about 40 minutes. I won't do that today, but they're great about getting new organizations on there, old organizations.
And that's information that these tracks need to know.
Yes, and I mentioned it before, but I'm going to give them a contact number so they can get hold of the guy directly. And at the start of the season, get out there, and they get on there 2 or 3 times a year. They're always looking for fillers. So
that's a good idea.
And so that's all I got.
Yeah, thank you for that. Well, if nobody's got anything else, oh, there you go.
In the event we do get a 250, or I'm sorry, a powder puff.
Yeah.
How soon would we know what rules and how could we be involved?
So if it was voted on at your pre-sanctioned meeting and then the rules go to the AMA, you'd know by what, first week of December?
Well, we have our.
Your pre-sanction is in November.
Right, our sanction meeting is for Saturday.
In December.
Right, so then they have, that's when we tournament, are we tournament before then?
You would turn them in right after your pre-sanction meeting.
So then we just wait for them to say.
You would know by
Ideally-
beginning of December.
Ideally, what our thoughts were, again, this is why we wanted to wait till we got all this in place, and then we can do it at our banquet. What I'd like to do at the end of the banquet is just make sure that you guys, make sure that we had the supplemental rules, so that we can hand them out at the end of the banquet. So then that way you can take them home and you had a copy of them.
Yeah, there's no waiting for social media. It's handed
Right,
to
you
you.
can
Here
take
it
it
is.
home, have a copy of it, and then that way, if you have any questions or concerns, because you weren't able to attend pre-sanction, or you didn't, then we can hear about it at the beginning. And then if we need to amend something, or if we need to address something, then we still have time to do it before the season starts.
And when is your banquet?
Ideally, we're probably going about the second week of January.
Okay.
We try to want to hit before ice season, but we also know everybody's got to get through the holidays.
Yeah, I just think if your supplemental rules and your classes and stuff get approved a month and a half before that, they got to be out.
We could do that.
Put them out and then give them the
Still
handout.
have a handout at the
Yeah.
banquet. Yeah, we're willing to do whatever. I mean, really, we're here for you guys.
Yeah, no. So as soon as the rules and everything are approved, they should go on the District 14 website. As soon as they're out, the classes and rules.
I'll just add to that. So, like Gordy was saying, not everybody's online.
Mm-hmm.
We used to have hard copies of the rule books.
Yeah.
And it used to be a thing, right? We used to have 1 or 2 people.
Well, I think that's what she was saying with the banquet is handing them out.
Let's get them out. Let's get them to the riders so that way they know the district rules. But we also have an issue with the AMA rules.
So I can tell you, if you go on the AMA website, anyone can order an AMA rule book for free.
Right.
How much?
Download it on your phone.
Yeah, I don't pay for a rule book. What the hell? Yeah, but yeah, you can download it from the AMA website. The rule book's right there. It's easy to scroll through.
And I guess my point is that it's not necessarily one thing, but like we should have somebody sign them. If somebody wants to look at something, the track should have them. Referees need them on hand, right?
Yeah.
More people need to know the rules, and this doesn't go against the district and the club. This goes against everybody here. Yeah. Everybody should know the rule book better than they do.
Yeah, and especially
situations that are solved. By
especially class lists and descriptions, those should be hung up and sign up pretty much any track, just anywhere. Just a good practice. All good? You got one? Cool.
So I was wondering, has AMA or D14 ever considered adding a 250 like A and D class?
Yeah, so that's totally up to your division. That's AMA D14. You can put whatever classes you want in, as long
Yeah,
as it.
because I know that there's a lot of kids that are getting off 85s and jumping right up into that big class. And
Well, I think that's why we did the mini open, right? So there was like a super mini class. But yeah, no, I agree. No, there should be something for 125s or yeah. I mean, there's got to be something to bridge the gap. So that's where it's tough. Is if there's only 3 people signing up for it, do you designate a whole part of the race program to it? Yeah, but then that has to be air cooled. It's not. So yeah, that's another one of those things that I was saying earlier. When we do that form, put that form out for people to submit rule changes and stuff. Put it in there. Let them know you want it. That's the best way to do it. Is just let them know you want it. But I agree, there should be something to bridge the gap. And if you remember, like I brought that up at the pre-sanction meeting, I'm like 86 to 250 is ridiculous. That's a huge gap. That's what I mean. All right. Anything else? Anybody? Going once?
So we've had this question come up
Okay.
a lot.
I didn't know you guys were going to question me. Thought we talked enough.
No, we don't. I'll look forward to this week.
So we have 450B riders
Uh-huh.
that want to self-advance into the A class.
Okay. Are they 16?
Yes.
Well, they have to be to race at 450.
Yeah, no, they'll be 16. Yeah, they'll be 16. What my question is that I have riders that probably really wouldn't fit the mold of the B class, but because we have the B class so that we don't have riders that just jump into the A class that shouldn't be there. They have to win 3 races in the B class.
Yeah, I think we talked about that at pre-sanction, and I think that rule's stupid.
So how would you?
I just think if you're ready to race A, sign up. If you think you are.
So, and then it could be referee.
Yeah, I mean, if they're a hazard out there, if it's like you're going on a road cone, then obviously you can say, hey, you're not ready for A. Well, but I'm just saying, like, if a kid, so say like some kid is fast as hell on his 85, and he comes off the 85, he's been practicing on a big bike. Why force him to race B if he doesn't want to? If he wants to race A, let him race A. There's an appeal process. If you self-advance yourself and you think after a race or two, you're like, man, I'm not fast enough. All you gotta do is send a letter in the AMA, they'll drop you back down. Only once. You can only move back down once. But so like the 3 race thing, I mean, to me, it's like making somebody race 3 races in the B class. It's almost like you're wasting their points for the year. So you make them race the B class, they race 3 races, they win all 3, but then they're out because they want to move up. So someone else who could have won some races in B doesn't win them and doesn't get the points, and they miss out on 3 races of A class, points or money or whatever.
Right. So when we go to pre-sanction, it is not us that sit down and we.
No, I told them that already. It's
yeah. So it's the tracks, it's the clubs, it's the riders, it's everybody else comes to us. I'm kind of the keyboard person that writes it all up for everybody. So that's just something that has been brought to us multiple times. And our 450 class is 14.
It's what?
14.
Well, since when? So it's up to 450. By AMA rules, you cannot ride a 450cc motorcycle at all until you're 16. At least on a motocross track. Is it different for flat track? It switched from 14 to 16 a few years ago in motocross. Yeah, you know how I look at that. And like I said, I don't know all the flat track rules. I'm going on motocross wise. You cannot ride a 450 till you're 16.
So our biggest thing that we've been hearing, and I heard it again this morning, is, and we did look it up in the rule book, and I did read the rule book on the way again here yesterday. We have a lot of people who will be riding one class here, say the B class, the 450B class. They go out of state, and in the rule book it does say AMA or non-AMA by self-advancing, but it has to be in a like event. So we've also had that come up. Not only this week about somebody who'd been in B, went to another race, rode an A or an elite or a pro-am singles. So we've gotten a lot of feedback of like, can they self-advance from that? And of course, Shawnee brought the book up, and I'd already reread that rule on the way here. So that has been a big topic.
And the rule states what?
Advancing. If it's an AMA or a non-AMA event,
but if it's the same
discipline about self-advancing.
If you sign up for A, you're A.
Right.
Period.
So it's been a big topic in the last few days this week.
No, it doesn't matter. And whether it's an AMA event or not, I have disqualified people because they raced A at SJO, Fair Cross, and then came to a district race and raced B. You decided you were A in some promotion, so you must be an A rider. The referee. That's a rider eligibility thing. So the referee, but you have to have proof. You can't just say, hey, I know this person signed up for A. There has to be something, results, something that says, look, they raced A. And then that person would be disqualified for that day, and they would have to send a letter of appeal to the AMA and get moved back down.
So the lower classes, they don't have an A and B, but they have ages. Is that the same if someone
Nope.
decides?
Ages are ages.
But if you decide to be AMA 8, go
AMA
and race a 9 class and an
It's not a
outlaw,
9 class, it's a 7 to 9 class.
So if you're going from a 50 to an 85.
7 to 9 is 7 to 9. And if you're racing a 7 to 9 class and you went to an 85 class that was 9 to 12, it's still 9. You don't automatically become a 12-year-old.
So my question is, if you're riding a 50, that goes up to 8, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then to ride an 85, that's what age is the youngest?
I think the youngest 85 class is 9.
That's my question. If you ride a 50.
So if you were to ride an 85 and it was a 9, it depends on the age. So if it's a 9 to 12 class, then yes, you aged yourself up.
Right. So if
But if it's 65 and it's 7 to 9, it's perfectly
even if
legal.
it was outlawed, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you race a higher, we actually had it last year in motocross where a kid was racing a 9 to 11 class, and then he ended up wanting to try out schoolboy for a weekend, which is 12 to 17. And now he was 12, but he was AMA 11. So once he raced that schoolboy class, then he had to appeal, because you can appeal to the AMA and say, hey, I made a mistake, and they'll let you age back down. But for that day, you're disqualified.
Would you please re-explain the AMA age thing that starts at January 1?
Yeah, so your AMA age, so it's different depending on youth and vet. So with any vet class, so that's anybody over the age of 18, your age is determined by the age you are on the day of the event. So like I can't race 40 plus yet tomorrow because I'm 39 and I won't be 40 until October. But in the youth side of things, your AMA age is what you are on January 1st of that year. That's why you see kids that are 5'6" riding PW50s at Loretta Lynn's, because they were 8 on January 1st, but they were 9 on January 2nd, but they're still AMA 8, locked in for the year. So that's the way the age rule works in any youth class. I just want people to hear the wisdom.
Does the A versus, when you go up to an A class, does it matter if it's an outlaw race?
Yes. Well, no, it doesn't. If you race A, you're A.
That's what I thought.
If somebody comes up to you and if somebody comes up to me as a referee and says, hey, this person raced A last week in Illinois, I got the proof. Here's the results. I'm going to disqualify them.
If it's not AMA or district sanctioned,
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Especially if it's a like event. Yeah.
Unless it's otherwise. Can you repeat the question that was asked? She got it.
So, and then the answers that you just gave to that question, that is what AMA rules are.
Yeah.
So now, again, remember that you have supplemental rules.
Mhm.
So if we found that there was, if they found riders and other people found there was a reason last year for something to be added to supplemental rules, that's where we need to see those, the riders need to read those supplemental rules, because it's not just AMA rules that stand for the race.
But your supplemental rules cannot go against AMA rules.
Okay.
Your supplemental rules are in addition to.
In addition to.
You cannot go against any AMA rule.
Okay.
It's in addition.
So we're saying that anybody that goes and rides an A class.
Yeah, if you have a rule right now that says they're allowed to go to a different state and ride the A class, you might want to delete that.
We have that it needed to be an AMA sanctioned event.
I don't see why that even makes.
Again, it was because and this is from past times, okay?
Yeah.
So this is all past. That's why we're going to revisit and want everybody's feedback for next year. Because we are, again, here for the riders. We do not mind making changes. But we had riders or parents that would put their kids in classes that don't belong in there.
Mm-hmm.
And we had no way to control it because then the parent just wants to sit there and yell and scream at people.
Well, there's no yelling and screaming. It's here's the proof. Your kid raced A. He's not a B rider. Sign up for A or go home.
Right. Or we had riders that should be a B rider and their parents would sign them up in an A class to push their kid.
Well, and that's the other thing. So there is There is a referee's discretion when it comes to if they sign up for an A class and they're 3/4 of a lap behind consistently, you can go talk to them, and all the referee has to do is send a letter to the AMA saying, look, they're not ready. I moved them down. And then the AMA will change their letter. No, because they're not appealing to move back down. It's the referee moving them back down.
And to readdress the age, now Megan's gotta go get 2024, it's up in the crow's nest, but in 2020 rule book for the A class, or the 450 class, excuse me.
Yeah, but you see why, here's why it says 14 plus years, because it's 251 to 450. What is the age you have to be to ride a 450cc motorcycle? Because
So,
everywhere else in the AMA, it's 16. You can be 14 because you can ride a 251. But what do you have to be to race a 450cc motorcycle? Not a 250.
so right here, 450 class name, 450cc.
But look at the engine size.
251 to 450.
That's right, because a 14-year-old can ride a 250. That's why they're eligible for that class, because it's an open class. But to ride a motorcycle that's over 450 cc's in motocross, off-road, and everywhere else, you have to be 16.
Okay, so where does that say that here?
I'm sure it's in there. Probably in the actual AMA rules. Not just the track thing.
Okay. And I just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page.
And like I said, I don't necessarily know if that's an AMA wide rule, but I know for every other division it is of the AMA. Mm. And if they're on a 350, but I think it's 250 max at 14, and then at 16 it goes higher. That's what it is for motocross. I don't know for flat track, but I don't see the AMA putting different size limits depending on the. And we can look that up afterwards. What's up, buddy?
Question.
Yeah.
If I have rode in a pro outlaw class at like let's say Midland and I got like second, first, am I allowed to ride a pro outlaw? I mean the A class here.
How old are you?
14.
Yeah, I mean, if you've rode an A class somewhere, just not on a 450.
I've rode at 450.
Well, that's what we're trying to figure out right now.
So that's what they're talking about right now. They're saying that AMA rules is that you have to be, in order to ride 450, you need to be 16 years old. So
You can ride in the 450 class. I just don't know if you can ride on a 450. You may have to ride a 250. Yeah. Because like on the motocross side of things, like motocross and like off-road, you have to be 16 to race a 450.
see, this is Charlie Bates.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, absolutely. He's got the skill. I'm not worried about that.
He's my question because
Yeah.
ideally we put him in the B class because he hasn't just now aged into a 450 class and it was 14.
But he can race that class. He can ride it on his 250.
Right.
I get that. Let's make sure we get that sorted out. Yeah. So yeah, you could at 14, if you could now. That class says 450cc in that rule book that you just showed me, right? Does that say A? That's another issue.
So has that always been that thing? Because I know when my son was 14, he ran a 450.
I want to say the 16 thing with 450 changed a couple of years ago, but like I said, that's motocross. I'm not sure when it comes to flat track.
Hey, Dan Miller here. So, rumor is, and I just heard this, so I had to come up here and verify it.
Uh-huh.
If a rider races in a like event, not D14, and they are up a class, they can't come down?
No.
They can't?
No.
So Charlie Jakes can't ride right now because you raced in the 450 pro singles twice. He can't go down, right?
He would have to be protested. Someone would have to bring up proof that he raced in A class.
Proof that he raced in that class?
Yeah.
He'd have to provide proof?
Yeah.
I've got it on my internet.
Okay.
Anybody gonna dispute that?
Well, we're gonna, and like I said, I don't know all of the flat track. We're gonna clarify. I'm gonna look at the rule book and make sure what exactly is going on. I said, from a motocross standpoint, if somebody comes up to me and shows me proof that someone raced an A class at a fair race, I will disqualify them for the day until they appeal the AMA because they self-advance themselves.
So self-advancement is what you're calling this. This is the loophole.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't see how it's a loophole. What do you mean a loophole?
Well,
it's a self-advancement, so they would get disqualified for the day. How's that a loophole?
Because it's not a D14 event.
It doesn't matter. I don't, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I would disqualify them for running in a lower class after racing a higher class. So that's not a loophole.
Okay. So we're on the same page.
Yeah, that's not a
I
loophole.
thought you were saying you're going to disqualify him for signing up in the bigger class.
No.
After he had already raced that bigger class.
No. I'm saying that on the flat track rules side of things, I've got to research and see what the rule is with that. I know in motocross, we will disqualify a person for racing a higher class and then dropping back out of the district event.
Jeff, Renee, you got an opinion on this?
Mm-hmm.
Are any of the outlaw events actually worded 450A? I'm not saying like the Pro-Am singles or the Pro-Am elites. Is it in the wording of, say they go to an outlaw race, 450A? Because I think this is becoming one of those questions.
Yeah.
Well, so-and-so ran the Pro-Am elite or the Pro-Am singles, but A wasn't included. So is there one of those where the wording?
Would it come down to language then?
It might. Because Pro-Am is a combined class. You could be a B rider and race Pro-Am. Couldn't you? It's still amateur. It's professional and amateur.
Can you repeat the question before they answer?
Okay. Like I said, it's different for different divisions. That's why I said that's the motocross rule. I think I reiterated that like 8 times.
I just didn't want to scare my.
So yeah, in flat track, 14-year-olds can race 450s.
Thank you.
So what does it say about advancement? Now, when it comes to advancement, if you're racing a Pro-Am, that's not denoted as an A class. What is the rules for that Pro-Am class? Does it say you have to be an A rider to race this class? So if that Pro-Am class says A or B riders, he didn't self-advance.
We don't ride Pro-Am in our district. That's what they go.
No, I'm talking about the outlaw race. If it says Pro-Am, what does it say for classes? Does it say you must be an A or B rider or you must be an A rider?
Discretionary of the promoter, it depends what they do when they kind of just run their own.
So in that instance, if there was no class attached to it, then you can't say you raced A class. It's just Pro-Am. Pro-Am's Pro-Am.
Pro Elite Singles was the actual name of the class.
Yeah.
Pro Elite Twins.
That's what I wanted to
That's the, yeah.
Again, how the rules from that track, that race.
Yeah. Yeah, the copy of, the rules from that track, that class, to see what exactly their rule is. And I'll call Ken Salant. Ken Salant's the AMA track racing manager. I'll call him and ask him, what's your view on this?
Yeah, so here's a good example. A kid turns 14. Here's example. This is just hypothetical. So a kid turns 14, goes down to car event this winter, and signs up in his 450 singles class. Is it said 450 A or B? I doubt it because it's not an AMA sanction. But after he races down there for a 2-day weekend and he comes back, is he going to have to jump through the hoops in the B class, or can he just go to the A class where he belongs?
So that's the issue with going and running outlaw events, is that they don't have the same class structure. So that's where that wording stuff really messes with everything. Because just a class that says 450 singles, you have to know what the rule is with the class. I have to know what the description of the class is. because you could say 450 single and anybody could sign up for it. You know what I mean? If there's not a rule along with that class that says you must be an expert level rider, then there is no advancement. You know what I mean? Like there has to be. That's the problem with all the non-AMA mixing with AMA. Like it's the wording back and forth because they don't follow the same class structure is a mess just because of wording.
Okay, so we have particular wording in our district right now, this open singles class.
Mhm.
Okay, let's hypothetically say the kid wins the championship on a 450 in the open singles class. Does he have to go to the 450B next year, or can he advance to the A automatically based on the championship won in that open singles?
Oh yeah, we were just talking about when you went up here. I told him, I said, any rule that says somebody has to race the B class is wrong. If you want to move to A and you're old enough, do it.
So we could sign up today.
Well, what's the rule say right now in District 14? That's the problem. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like for next year, I think that rule needs to
3B
change.
classes after you already won the championship in open singles. Right.
Nothing says you gotta win 3 of them
to move
yourself.
Someone broke that rule.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is
That's the way the Bush
can
did that.
somebody move to the A class without running 450B?
I don't think you should have to.
Because he was talking about earlier, I just heard the kids that are going through the sportsman class.
Oh yeah, so sportsmen, yeah, you should be able to sign up for A. I mean,
Well, how do we pick and choose which rules and what we're gonna do?
we're not picking.
There's a black and white rule that talks about the stop light.
Butch, are we back on this again? And I told you to protest it. Yes, you should. It's a machine. You have to protest an illegal machine. It's in the rule book.
It's in there.
Follow the rules. The rules say you have to protest an illegal machine. I'm telling you to follow the rules. You're telling me to follow the rules. I'm telling you to follow the rules. If you're going to stand here and tell me to follow the rules, make sure you're ready to do the same.
Okay, well, I'm gonna think about there's a lot of rules there. Like when you're ice racing, you gotta have safety vendors. If somebody shows up without a safety vendor, does the club say, oh, well, because nobody protested, you're good? Or do they say, no, you aren't riding until you put
Well, at that point, if it's unsafe equipment, they shouldn't be allowed on the track.
That Butch doesn't apply to you're talking about a motor, right? You're talking about the engine.
Or external modifications. But
Okay,
modifications.
still, okay, or still, but that's not a safety feature.
No, it's not.
Okay, so I get what he's saying. If you don't like it, then
Protest
it now. Yeah.
What I'm saying is that we talked about this already earlier. I told you had to protest, and you're back here yelling at me about following the rules. Okay, you're getting very animated with me saying I'm not following the rules, but you're not following the rules. That's the rule. Okay, that's the rule. I know. I'm saying that's the rule. You have to protest.
I'm good. I'm gonna sign that kid up and we'll see what happens.
All right. So everybody's gone now, but thank everybody for coming. Sorry. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Don, for videoing. Thanks, Aaron, for setting everything up. Be more soon.
For those watching, questions will still be fielded from the Facebook page and this YouTube live stream for a period of time. You can also call and text. We'll get the information for his contact out as soon as possible. And clarification on any questions asked in particular. Cool.
Nice to meet you.
James. Tiffany Elkins says great job.
He had a dress on. I'm going, oh, that's nice.
I'd say Charlie.
So why is he not?
I brought me the sandwich earlier, but I didn't eat it all.
All right.
There you
Is there a rule? Is there a rule in your electric? Yeah.
Yeah, it says
All riders advancing from 86 to 2 must drive.
yeah, but you said this override.
Hey, James. Cell phone?
Yeah, so you can move up.
What's your cell phone number?
269-243-0183.
The D14 rules, I guess,
D14 rules are supplemental. In addition to.
So Charlie got a great A class last night.
Yeah.
I'm still recording you.
Well, I get to it.
James. Email?
Vice President, all one word, AMA-D14.org. Yeah, I don't have to get you. Anybody who's an app, research. GG, verify.